Imagine this. You're deep within a pulsating crowd, bathed in a sea of flashing lights, the bass vibrating right through your chest. Tens of thousands of fans are screaming, chanting the name of a superstar DJ as a chart-topping anthem electrifies the air, building to that undeniable drop. It's pure euphoria, right? A shared moment of musical magic.
Absolutely, that feeling is incredible.
But here's the secret. The untold story that might just change how you listen to electronic dance music forever? What if the song blasting through those speakers, the one that makes everyone lose their minds, wasn't entirely crafted by the DJ on stage?
And that's really the core question we're exploring today, isn't it? We're pulling back the curtain on the hidden world of ghost production in the international electronic dance music industry.
Yeah.
It's a story woven with the threads of unsung creators whose music truly moves millions, often in complete anonymity. It's a complex mix of intense passion and immense pressure.
For everyone involved, too.
Exactly, not just for the visible stars, but for the hidden hands behind the beats as well.
Our mission today is to give you a shortcut, sort of, to being truly well informed about this fascinating, sometimes controversial aspect of the music industry. We'll start by defining exactly what ghost production is, then peel back the layers to understand why superstar DJs rely on it, even when it's considered this like open secret.
Right.
We'll unveil some of the most notable cases and controversies that have rippled through the scene, and then we're going to delve deep into the very real human and emotional costs for everyone involved, both the invisible producers and the famous faces.
And finally, we'll try to connect all these dots, discussing the larger implications for EDM's image, its marketing, and the growing cause for greater transparency.
Yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll listen to EDM with a whole new, informed perspective, maybe picking up those aha moments about the intricate art, and let's be honest, the cutthroat business behind the beats you love.
Definitely. This isn't just about facts, it's about understanding a fundamental shift, really, in how music is made and consumed in one of the world's biggest genres.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start at the very beginning. When we talk about ghost production in EDM, what exactly are we defining? Like, what does it entail at its most fundamental level?
Well, in its purest form, it's quite simple, actually. A famous DJ, often a household name you'd recognize, hires another music producer to create a track.
Okay.
The crucial distinction here is that this track will then be released exclusively under the famous DJ's name, not the actual creators. It's that direct analogy you hear sometimes. Large artist A buys a song from up and coming artist B,
Right.
and artist A then presents it to the world as their own, while fans naturally assume they've composed and produced it themselves.
And the ghost producer, the actual creator, they get paid for their work, presumably.
Usually, yes.
But then they sign those notorious non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, to remain completely anonymous.
That's the key mechanism.
Which means they effectively forfeit public credit, and that seems to be the really crucial and often painful part of the whole deal.
Precisely. And it's important to understand this isn't like a one size fits all practice. There's a wide spectrum of involvement.
Ah.
It can range from minor, behind the scenes assistance, maybe an experienced engineer polishing a mix, or a skilled songwriter tweaking a melody, all the way to a ghost producer creating the entire track from scratch, with absolutely zero creative input from the supposed artist.
Wow. The whole thing.
Whole thing. But regardless of the level of involvement, the critical point remains. The ghost producer's contributions are almost always uncredited publicly. The superstar gets all the glory, the accolades, the performance fees, while the true composer remains hidden in the shadows.
Right. One anonymous producer described it as an open secret, admitting, "You'll be surprised at how many producers actually do ghostwrite for people here and there. It's easy money." But if it's so common within the industry, why is it such a controversial topic in EDM, especially when, like you said, in other genres like pop or hip-hop, uncredited songwriters and producers are just normal part of the process? What makes EDM different?
That's where the traditional expectation in EDM really comes into play. Historically, a DJ was revered as an authentic artist, someone who crafted their own beats, developed a unique sound that was deeply personal to them.
Yeah, the auteur model almost.
Exactly. They weren't just selectors of other people's music, they were seen as the architects of their own sonic worlds. Pop and hip hop, on the other hand, have long embraced a collaborative model. It's totally normal for vocalists to perform songs written by a whole team of songwriters and producers.
Right, nobody bats an eye.
Exactly. So in EDM, when rumors of ghost produced hits surface, it often gets swept under the rug by the industry. It's considered this dirty little secret despite being tacitly understood as a widespread practice.
The controversy stems from this clash, this tension between the romanticized ideal of the DJ as soul creator and the commercial realities of the modern music industry.
And it's not just an informal network like friends helping friends out, is it? We're talking about an actual industry within an industry that has sprung up specifically to facilitate this.
You've hit on a fascinating point there.
Absolutely.
There are now dedicated ghost production platforms and specialized studios that openly advertise their services.
Really?
Like openly? Oh yeah, they boast about being 100% discreet naturally, but they promise Beatport-ready tracks for clients.
Beatport ready meaning ready for the charts, basically.
Exactly. Professionally mixed, mastered. Primed for commercial success on Beatport, which is a crucial measure of an electronic track's popularity. One company even proudly claimed to have 3 tracks in the Beatport Top 100 and stated that Grammy-nominated DJs were among their customers. Wow. So this isn't just a few isolated cases. It highlights how deeply embedded and pervasive this practice has become within the commercial fabric of EDM. It's a structured professional service, not just some casual arrangement on the side. That certainly sounds like a significant operation. So if it's such an open secret and carries this, whiff of controversy, what truly compels these superstar DJs to lean on ghost producers? Let's transition from the what to the profound why, because it seems there are some pretty immense pressures at play in the spotlight. Indeed, there are probably 4 main drivers that really force this issue. First, and perhaps the most immediately understandable, is just the brutal time crunch imposed by grueling global tour schedules.
Right, the lifestyle.
2P DJs maintain relentless schedules. We're talking hundreds of gigs a year across multiple continents.
Yeah.
As one insider described, a modern DJ might be traveling 3-4 days per week, constantly battling jet lag, juggling appearances.
Wow.
Which leaves what, maybe 1-2 days at most, actually sit down and produce music. And that's before you factor in press, social media, business meetings. The sheer physical and logistical demands are immense.
That sounds absolutely exhausting just thinking about it. And it's not as if they can just take a break from releasing music, right? Fan expectations fueled by social media algorithms practically demand a constant flow of new track.
Exactly. They feel this unrelenting pressure to pump out hits at an even greater pace than ever before. If a DJ goes silent for too long, they risk losing relevance in such a fast-moving genre.
It moves so quickly.
Incredibly quickly. And this is precisely where ghost producers become, well, indispensable for some. They work full-time in the studio, dedicated solely to music creation. They ensure a steady stream of new tracks is always ready for release, even while the DJ is on the road performing.
So it keeps the pipeline flowing.
It keeps the production pipeline flowing, which is absolutely viable for maintaining an artist's visibility and relevance in today's market.
That leads right into the second major reason you mentioned, the relentless need for constant hits. In the high-stakes world of EDM, having a recent hit track isn't just a nice bonus. It's absolutely crucial for staying on top, isn't it?
It's a make or break factor for their careers, really. A true measure of current success. Big festival bookings, high chart placements, and those all-important DJ Mag rankings.
Ah, yes, the DJ Mag poll, always controversial.
Always controversial, but highly influential. Those often hinge on an artist's latest releases. As one analysis noted, a DJ needs to put out that hit to get the prime gigs. Few can truly subsist on DJing alone, and even the legends aren't immune. Rumors persist about veterans like, say, Paul Oakenfold or Tiesto Seeking Studio help to keep their sound fresh, maintain their relevance in a constantly evolving scene, ensuring their sound doesn't get an expiration date.
So ghost producers essentially allow these established artists to delay that expiration date, keeping them on festival lineups longer, maintaining visibility. But producer Colin McLaughlin argued this also creates a kind of troubling cycle, making it even harder for truly new talent to break through.
That's a really important point. It creates a bottleneck that can stifle organic growth. If established artists can endlessly pump out new material via ghost producers, They continue to occupy those prime slots, dominating charts and festival lineups,
Makes sense?
which makes it significantly harder for genuinely new, self-produced talent to gain traction and find their place in the limelight. It's kind of a self-perpetuating system that tends to favor existing celebrity over raw, emerging artistry.
That's a very perceptive observation. It really highlights an unrealistic expectation. One ghost producer aptly pointed out that today's EDM world often expects a single person to be the composer, the drummer, the bassist, the mixing engineer, the mastering engineer, all at once.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's an incredibly diverse and specialized skill set, right? And not every superstar DJ possesses all of them at an elite level. Some DJs are phenomenal performers. They have brilliant musical ideas, a clear vision.
Right, the ideas guy.
Exactly. But they might lack the years of intensive sound engineering experience needed to translate those ideas into a professionally polished, ready for the main stage track. They might have a great ear for melody or a genius for live performance, but maybe not the technical chops to build a complex mix from the ground up.
And a perfect example cited for this is the relationship between global superstar David Guetta and his early collaborator Joachim Garraud. Garraud was pretty frank about his role, wasn't he?
Oh, very frank. Garrett revealed that he was essentially behind the machines for some of Guetta's signature sounds, including massive hits like Where Them Girls At. Huge track, massive. He stated quite plainly, David is not a musician, he is not a technician. Guetta would bring creative ideas, vocal samples, a clear vision for the track, be direct. The direction exactly. But Garrod, with his studio expertise, handled the intricate engineering and production work. In this scenario, Guetta functioned more like a creative director, guiding the overall artistic vision, while Garrod was the technical backbone bringing that vision to life. It's a distinction that often gets blurred by the public-facing image.
So it's not always about a complete lack of skill, but maybe more about specialization or just outsourcing the full production cycle. And there are even actual marketplaces where this happens. You mentioned that earlier.
Yes. For some less hands-on DJs, it's an even more direct transaction. They simply buy finished, Beatport-ready tracks from online marketplaces or dedicated ghost production service.
Wow, just off the shelf.
Pretty much. You can find advertisements explicitly seeking producers who can do everything from composition to mastering for a track, often for a flat fee or a complete buyout. It treats songs almost like ghost-written books or custom-made products, where the buyer, the DJ, takes full ownership, gets all the credit, and the real creator remains entirely anonymous. It's a stark illustration of how, for some, music has become a commodity, almost detached from the traditional notion of artistic creation.
That's quite business model, turning music into a product for sale like that. And the final driving force seems to be all about brand and image. The modern EDM superstar is truly a brand in themselves, aren't they? With marketing teams, elaborate visuals, merchandise lines, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. In this paradigm, ghost production simply becomes another back-end task, much like a pop star using a team of uncredited songwriters and session musicians. Right? A veteran ghost producer cynically observed that 99% of famous musicians are also really good looking, suggesting that image, stage presence, and overall celebrity often trump pure musical skill in attaining superstar fame in the EDM world.
That's a bit cynical, but maybe there's some truth there.
It's definitely perspective you hear. The focus shifts from who made the music to who sells the experience, who embodies the brand.
So, from this perspective, the DJ is almost like the front man of a band, or the lead performer in a spectacular circus focused entirely on the show, while a team, including these ghost producers, ensures the music itself is top notch.
Concisely. That same ghost producer, in a moment of, candid frustration, even quipped, I've always considered a DJ to be a bit like circus clowns. Wow. Yeah, paid primarily to entertain, while others supply some of the magic behind the curtain. It's a provocative comparison for sure, but it starkly reinforces the idea that some DJs act primarily as entertainers, crowd hive specialists, and brand ambassadors, relying heavily on hired studio talent for the actual music creation. Their existing fame and brand power allow them to capitalize on this model, keeping their brand machine rolling even if the artistry, by traditional definitions, is outsourced. It forces us to ask, what are we truly paying for when we buy a ticket to an EDM show? Is it the raw creative genius, or is it the spectacle of the performance, the brand experience?
When you put all these factors together, the crushing time crunch, the insatiable demand for hits, the inevitable skill gaps, and this overwhelming focus on building a personal brand, it really makes ghost production sound less like an anomaly and more like, well, an industry norm in mainstream EDM dream.
It absolutely is for a significant part of the industry. It's not only continuing to grow with EDM's massive commercial expansion, but it's a practice that surprisingly has roots dating back to the earliest days of electronic music and even beyond.
Really, way back?
Yeah, collaborations and uncredited work have always been part of music creation, just maybe not on this industrial scale. As long as audiences demand constant new bangers and DJs are expected to tour relentlessly while somehow simultaneously churning out original music, ghost producers will continue to quietly fill that gap. The industry has evolved to the point where this hidden labor is, for many, simply part of the business model.
Okay, so now let's talk about some of the big names who have been at the very center of these ghost production stories, some of whom, as you hinted, might surprise people. Let's get into the who behind the why. All right. First up, the powerhouse duo Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike, or DVLM. The sources talk about persistent rumors surrounding them, specifically mentioning a producer named Martin Vorwerk.
Martin Vorwerk, yes. He's often humorously dubbed the most famous ghost since Casper by the dance music media, and for good reason. Vorwerk is a Dutch producer, widely acknowledged as the prolific force behind countless big room house hits.
Big Room, yeah. That festival sound.
Exactly that sound, including many attributed to DVLM. He was reportedly involved in anthems like DVLM's Wakanda, a track that was absolutely huge on main stages back in, 2013. It really defined a certain era of festival sound.
So DVLM haven't exactly come out and said, yes, we use ghost producers, but their statements have been quite carefully worded, haven't they? Suggesting collaboration, which for many fans still feels like a sidestep around the core issue.
They've offered a defense, yeah, stating things like sometimes artists get help in mixing, songwriting, or additional production. It's not exclusive to electronic music.
It's standard line.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if that extra pair of hands makes the record better, then it's in everybody's best interest. They did add a caveat that everyone involved should be properly credited and paid.
Okay.
However, in practice, producers like Vorwerk rarely get a public spotlight, even if their name appears in tiny print and songwriting credits. Or, as is often the case, not at all. DVLM takes the bow on stage while the creative engine remains largely unseen by the public.
And their rapid rise to the coveted hashtag one spot on DJ Mag's Top 100 DJs poll in 2015 really amplified the scrutiny, didn't it? It fueled fan discomfort with the idea that the best DJs in the world might not be making their own music entirely from scratch.
It absolutely did. It highlighted that fundamental debate we talked about. DVLM argues it's just teamwork, a common practice like in pop music, but many fans felt a deep sense of unease, even betrayal, that the very top DJs might not be creating their own core product. This question of authenticity became a central talking point, especially as their profile skyrocketed.
Next, let's talk about a true legend, one of the founding fathers of modern EDM and trance, Tiesto. Even he has long-standing hints from insiders about a hidden studio partner.
Yes, his longtime studio partner Dennis Walcott, Rikers Fry. Tiesto himself sometimes referred to Dennis as part of his team, or even the band behind Tiesto.
A band? Interesting.
An investigative look directly described Dennis as the guy in the studio creating Tiesto's music for him. This wasn't just minor assistance. Dennis was intricately involved in the sound that defined Tiesto's golden era, especially his massive trance period.
And Dennis's role was pivotal, wasn't it? He was responsible for some huge tracks that are considered absolute classics today.
Oh, indeed. Dennis was credited, often as a co producer or writer, on many of Tiesto's biggest trance tracks: Feel It in My Bones, Escape Me, I Will Be Here. Massive anthems, classics, total classics. Dennis himself explained that Tiesto would bring great ideas for tracks, often in the form of demos or vocal ideas, but the actual production work is Dennis's responsibility.
During Tiesto's peak trance years, Tiesto was the global superstar DJ, the face, and Dennis was the primary producer shaping those iconic songs back in the studio. It was a true collaborative powerhouse, but the public perception leaned heavily on Tiesto as the sole genius creator.
Now, Tiesto did credit Dennis in album liner notes to an extent, right? So you could argue it was more collaboration than outright ghosting, at least in a formal sense. But for fans who idolize Tiesto as this solo production genius, learning about Dennis's extensive involvement must have been pretty disillusioning.
Absolutely, for many hardcore trance fans, it felt like the magic is taken away from those classic tracks. There was a perceived loss of authenticity. On places like Reddit, you saw some users bitterly comparing Tiesto and similar DJs to the monkeys of trance.
Wow, harsh.
Very harsh, implying a manufactured act performing music written by others. It powerfully reflects the emotional response from fans who felt a profound sense of disappointment or even betrayal. The idea that such a beloved figure might not be what everyone thought is, for many, a very tough pill to swallow, especially when so much of a DJ's identity is tied to their unique sound.
David Guetta is another huge crossover star who openly relies on a team, especially his early collaborator, Joachim Garrawad. He seems to have been more upfront about the collaborative nature of his work compared to some others.
Guetta has generally been more transparent about working with the team, yes. Jarrod frankly admitted, as we mentioned, that he was behind the machines for signature sounds like Where Them Girls At, positioning Guetta more as a director than a pure technician. Guetta would come with his creative vision, his energy, and Guetta would execute on the technical side. Guetta has consistently defended this teamwork, saying things like, "It's totally cool to work as a team, and everyone should be credited and paid," a bit like being in a band.
And he has, to his credit, at least credited co-writers like Giorgio Tunfor and Frederick Reister on many of his biggest hits. But the whispers still persist about others, like maybe Afrojack on Titanium being uncredited initially, or the Nervo sisters who were apparently uncredited ghostwriters for When Love Takes Over at first.
Yeah, and this highlights the blurred lines, even with greater transparency. Guetta's immense success shows how image and marketing often intersect with the reality of a larger team effort. Often only the frontman DJ gets the full public accolades, even if others were acknowledged somewhere in the fine print. The mainstream music industry has long normalized this model, and EDM is increasingly following suit.
Now, for a fascinating counter narrative, Martin Garrix. He actually started as a ghost producer before becoming this global superstar himself. That's pretty unusual, right?
Yes, it's quite a unique origin story. Garrix, who shot to fame at just 17 with Animals.
Unbelievable track.
Huge. He revealed in a DJ Mag interview that as a 16-year-old, he produced a track for another artist that became a massive hit on Spinnin' Records, one of the biggest dance labels at the time.
He couldn't say which one, though.
No, he couldn't reveal the specific track due to contracts and DAs, probably. But that huge, unnamed track directly led to his own discovery and record deal with Spinnin'. Ghost producing was literally his foot in the door, proving his talent in a discreet way that ultimately led to his big break.
And then once he became famous, he faced the opposite accusation, didn't he? People started wondering if he was now using ghost producers. The irony.
Exactly, the irony. To combat these rumors, Martin vehemently denied them and took some pretty proactive steps to prove his authenticity. He famously live-streamed his entire production process for a track, building it step by step on camera, showing fans he truly creates his music from scratch.
That's dedication.
It really is. And he also openly credits collaborators like Avicii on Waiting for Love. His story truly debunked the myth that ghost producers never get anything but money. It demonstrated that ghostwriting can be a viable, albeit challenging path to stardom and recognition. It highlights a rare instance where the ghost fully crossed over into the public view.
That's a really compelling success story, a real diamond in the rough. And Niall's KSHMR, Halawaldar, is another prominent example of a ghost turned star, isn't he? He was formerly part of the hip hop duo The Cataracts, but then became this hidden force in EDM before breaking out on his own.
KSHMR was indeed a significant behind the scenes producer for huge festival tracks in the early 2000s and 10s. The biggest example, the one everyone talks about, is the anthem Tsunami by DVBBS and Borges from 2013.
Oh, yeah, Tsunami was everywhere.
Absolutely dominated festival main stages worldwide. Rumors long swirled about KSHMR's involvement, and he recently openly admitted that he wrote and produced Tsunami, genuinely one of history's biggest EDM tracks. He also ghost produced other Beatport chart toppers around that time, often without public credit, really honing his craft in the shadows.
So his production prowess was kind of an open secret among insiders. And eventually, like Garrix, he decided to step into the spotlight himself.
Exactly. Around 2014 to 2015, Niles adopted the stage name KSHMR and started releasing music under his own name. Fans quickly recognized his immense talent and very unique sound design. He occasionally hints about those early NDA projects he still can't discuss.
He's a bit.
Yeah, he even joked in late 2024 about releasing a list of all the songs he ghost produced, which turned out to be an April Fool's prank, but it certainly set the community abuzz because everyone knew there were probably more.
Yeah.
KSHMR's journey shows that dual nature of ghost production. It provided him with valuable career opportunities, industry connections, skill development, but at the cost of relinquishing credit for tracks that literally defined an era. He's now launched his own label, Dharma Worldwide, to mentor young producers, maybe aiming to offer them a more direct path to success than the one he had to take.
He's now launched his own label, Dharma Worldwide, to mentor young producers, maybe aiming to offer them a more direct path to success than the one he had to take.
We mentioned him earlier as the most famous ghost since Casper, but Martin Vorwerk truly is the archetypal career ghost, isn't he? He's the counterpoint to Garrix and KSHMR, as he never really seemed to seek the spotlight himself.
His influence is profound and, like you say, largely invisible to the casual listener. Vorwerk has crafted dozens upon dozens of EDM tracks for other artists, especially in the big room and electro house genres. He's credited with co-producing Epic, like Montino and Sandro Silva, another foundational track. Absolutely, a track considered a catalyst for the whole big room house explosion, and he's been linked to names like Danny Avila, Eva V, and even reportedly some early foundational work with Swedish House Mafia. His impact is just undeniable, yet his face remains largely unknown outside of dedicated industry circles.
But his unique perspective, unlike those who felt stifled by anonymity, is that he seems genuinely content without the fame. He truly loves being in the studio and creating stuff without all the trappings of celebrity.
That seems to be his core drive in what sets him apart. He stated things like, "My name is still in the credits, that's enough recognition for me," and appreciates when DJs give him a shout out as a co-producer in interviews. Colleagues describe him as humble, content to let others bask in the spotlight as long as he's compensated fairly, and occasionally acknowledged, even if just by peers. He even became this sort of mythical figure in a meme and EDM forums, with fans humorously attributing basically any big track to him. Exactly. It cemented his role as a kind of patron saint of this hidden world. He proves that for some, the joy of creation itself genuinely matters more than the spotlight.
And these are just the high-profile, often rumored or later admitted cases. Insiders will tell you that most of the DJ Mag Top 100 artists use ghost producers in some capacity. It's truly pervasive, isn't it?
It really seems to be. It spans from the absolute top-tier festival headliners down to mid-level names you might hear on club circuits. Even outside big room EDM stories abound. Like the Transact, Dash Berlin, their messy 2018 split, publicly revealed that Jeffrey Sutorius, the recognizable face and DJ of the act, parted ways with the behind-the-scenes producers who had actually been making the music for years.
Wow, that was public.
Very public. It was a clear, dramatic glimpse into a ghost production team breaking up, with the actual creators claiming the brand rights and the music itself. But there's also a shift happening, maybe. A move towards more transparency, where more DJs are becoming open about collaborations, perhaps redefining what ghost even means in this context.
Absolutely. Artists like Armin van Buuren are a great example. He openly credits Benno de Gouge as his primary studio collaborator on most tracks, and Armin freely discusses how the music production is a team effort for him.
So it's not hidden?
It's not hidden, and because he's transparent and Benno gets visible credit, fans don't really consider this ghost producing in the controversial sense. It's seen as a legitimate, transparent collaboration. Similarly, TVO, who started as ghostwriters themselves, openly advocate that there has to come a point when the ghost producer gets their glory.
Right.
This highlights the evolving ethical lines. Maybe using help isn't the sin, but pretending you have skills you don't and contributing nothing while denying credit is seen as deceptive. Blasterjaxx, for instance, strongly condemns simply buying tracks with zero creative involvement, stating such DJs failed in life by taking unethical shortcuts.
So, if this practice is becoming more transparent in some corners, what happens when these secrets actually do get out in a big scandalous way? Let's talk about the public controversies and the significant consequences for everyone involved when the curtain falls.
Yeah, that brings us squarely to Matt Zo's explosive Twitter rant back in 2015, which really blew the lid off the whole thing for a wider audience.
Wow, the Matt Zo rant, legendary.
Absolutely. Matt Zo, a respected producer himself, was clearly frustrated with what he saw as unethical industry practices. He launched this fiery tirade calling ghost production the rotten teeth of the industry that needed to be pulled out. He was just fed up with the facade.
And he didn't just talk about it in vague terms, did he? He retweeted a fan made screenshot purporting to list top DJs and their alleged ghost producers. That really turned an insider secret into front page news, didn't it?
It caused an absolute uproar. The list named big room stars like Carnage, David Guetta, Danny Avila, and Nervayo, among others, alleging they used specific ghost producers for some of their hottest records at the time. Suddenly, an insider secret previously confined to hushed conversations and maybe some forum threads became front page news across the EDM world. Fans were genuinely shocked, asking fundamental questions. Was my favorite banger actually made by some unknown kid? Was that DJ I admire essentially a fraud? The illusion of the singular creator was really shattered for many people.
And the backlash was swift and messy, as you can imagine. How did the accused artist respond to such direct public accusations?
Oh, it varied wildly. Carnage, for instance, reacted furiously, firing off angry tweets denying the claims, threatening legal action. Very defensive. Very defensive. Nervayo, by contrast, highlighted their own past as ghostwriters, pointing out the irony of the accusations and suggesting a need for more empathy in the discussion. Guetta by then didn't have much to prove, maybe, but maintained his stance on credited teamwork, at least for some collaborators. Danny Avila also dismissed the accusations, but regardless of their individual responses, the seed of doubt was firmly planted in the minds of many fans, and the industry was really forced to confront the issue head-on.
The controversy became so widespread and the question is so persistent that even DJ Mag, in its highly anticipated Top 100 DJs feature, started directly asking stars about ghost production, forcing them to take public stances, right?
Yes. That forced confrontation revealed a pretty clear philosophical split within the industry. You had the hardline views from respected DJs like Hardwell, who said something like, "If you're not producing your own tracks, then just be honest. The fans don't deserve to be lied to."
Straightforward.
Very. Armin van Buuren echoed the sentiment, saying, "It's wrong if someone puts a name on a track they had nothing to do with." Veteran Carl Cox agreed, stating DJs should stand up for what you make and not hide behind anyone. For them, it was fundamentally a matter of integrity.
But there were more permissive or nuanced views as well, highlighting the complexity of it all.
Absolutely. Afrojack argued it's acceptable if you're open about it, but when you try to hide it and act like you do know what you're doing, that's kinda stupid. Showtek famously compared it to plot music, saying, "Some singers use help from songwriters, some DJs use help from producers. It's the bigger picture that matters, the end result." Yeah. And KSHMR, who had been a ghost himself, spoke from experience, saying, "It's acceptable to get help." Nervo delivered one of the most empathetic takes, stating, There has to come a point in time when the ghost producer gets their glory if they want this.
That's a key point if they want this.
Exactly. It really highlighted that not all ghosts even want the spotlight like Vor work, but they deserve the choice and the recognition if they desire it. It's about transparency and acknowledgement, not necessarily forcing fame on anyone.
So, how did the fans, the audience actually experiencing this music, react to all this exposure? Was it just universal outrage, or was there a more complex response?
It was definitely a complex mix of emotions. Betrayal, cynicism, and for some, maybe indifference or pragmatism. Many hardcore fans were deeply dismayed, feeling like the magic is gone, and bitterly comparing ghost-dated DJs to, the monkeys of trance, that manufactured band analogy again.
Right.
However, other fans took a more pragmatic view. If the music is good and the live show delivers an unforgettable experience, does it truly matter who technically produced the track? They argue that DJing and producing are separate skills, and a great performer is still a great performer.
That's a valid point, too.
It is. But the crucial distinction, as producer Ashley Walbridge keenly pointed out, seems to be the lack of credit. In other genres, songwriters and producers are usually acknowledged somewhere. In EDM's ghost scenario, that credit is often invisible, which feels like a lie or a deception to fans. As one Redditor put it honestly doesn't matter if you did make the track as long as you say so.
Transparency again. That sentiment really underscores how transparency, not necessarily the end of all collaboration, could resolve many fans' moral quandaries.
And these controversies aren't just theoretical debates. They've led to real career and relationship fallout within the industry. The Messy Berlin split in 2018 is a concrete, very public example you mentioned.
That was a dramatic and highly public example of a ghost production team fracturing. The behind-the-scenes producers essentially claimed the Berlin brand and the music rights from the DJ who was the public face. It vividly showed how sour and complicated these arrangements can turn when credit, money, or promised opportunities are disputed.
Yeah.
Ghost production also remains a favorite media topic, feeding narratives of authenticity versus facades in the music industry. And we've even seen satirical commentary from within the scene, like Ashley Walbridge and Gareth and Mary's parody duo CVNT5.
Oh yeah, CVNT5 was hilarious.
Brilliant satire, wasn't it? They lampooned talentless, rich DJs buying their way to fame and bribing DJ Meg. It illustrated that the industry itself recognizes and even satirizes its own absurdities and frustrations.
This all brings us to the human element of ghost production. Beyond the public controversies and industry debates, what's the deep personal impact on the individuals caught in this system, both the hidden producers and the famous DJs?
Yeah, this is crucial. For ghost producers, it's truly a double-edged sword. It's a pathway paved with both opportunity and often quiet heartbreak. On one hand, it offers a crucial paycheck and a viable way to gain entry and experience in a highly competitive industry. Alex Hypercolor Jones admitted he did it because I needed money, even though he called the whole arrangement a Fing joke.
Wow.
He described the bitter irony of clients demanding a bomb track in like a day for relatively low pay so they could then fly around the world and raise their social status while he, the creator, remained completely unrecognized and anonymous.
That sounds incredibly bitter. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into a track, giving it life, only to hear it succeed globally, electrifying crowds, and knowing you'll never get any public credit. That has taken immense psychological toll.
It can be a quiet heartbreak, as one source put it. Producer Colin McLaughlin shared how he has friends who have had their creative work played on top 40 radio around the world without even being named in the title or credits.
Just invisible.
Completely invisible. Over time, this consistent lack of recognition, the constant need for secrecy, and the feeling of invisibility can deeply erode a ghost producer's mental well-being. It can lead to a profound sense of injustice, sadness, frustration.
He described how he initially enjoyed ghost producing, but it quickly became no longer fulfilling even for someone who was clearly very successful at it.
Walbridge made a staggering 10 Beatport #1 records, all for other DJs. That's huge success by any measure, but strict NDAS meant he risked being sued if he ever told anyone which tracks were his.
That pressure must be immense.
Unbelievable. That enforced secrecy and anonymity took a severe psychological toll, actually reached a point where the money didn't matter anymore. He explained, I want the world to know the music I love and the music I make, so people can get to know me as a real person, not a ghost. He yearned for an identity beyond the shadows, a sense of creative ownership. Eventually, it prompted him to quit ghost production entirely. His story powerfully illustrates the initial enticement and the profound long-term emptiness that can follow from being perpetually invisible.
And it's not just the lack of recognition, is it? Many ghost producers are often promised future collaborations, ongoing gigs, or even direct introductions that just never materialize, leading to intense feelings of exploitation and betrayal.
I've had conversations with countless ghost producers who were promised future collaborations and show opportunities only to be stutched years later, wondering if those promises will ever come true, Colin McLaughlin observed. It really is. This can lead to deep self-doubt and what you might call imposter syndrome in reverse. Like, if I'm good enough to make these hits that define a superstar DJ's career, why am I still invisible and struggling? It creates immense anxiety, frustration, and can even contribute to depression for talented individuals trapped in this cycle.
While some, like Martin Vorwerk, genuinely prefer anonymity and the studio life, the stress for them might come from different angles, right? Constant overwork, juggling multiple projects, the pressure of maybe creative stagnation.
Precisely. For those who choose the ghost path, the pressure of juggling multiple client projects, adhering to tight deadlines, and constantly adapting their style to match diverse client demands can lead to severe burnout. They're often forced to churn out formulaic hits that sound like previous successes rather than exploring their own personal artistic visions.
Yeah, churning out the same thing.
This constant need to produce a track that sounds like the last hit can be creatively demoralizing. Artists thrive when they can express themselves, not when they're essentially assembly line manufacturing someone else's commercial vision. Plus, there's the precarious freelance nature, little recourse if deals fall through or payments are delayed.
Now let's flip the coin. What about the headline DJs who use ghost producers? It might seem like an easy shortcut to fame and success from the outside, but there must be significant psychological burdens for them too, surely.
Absolutely. It's not all smooth sailing. There's the constant gnawing fear of exposure. In the hyper-connected social media age, a leaked project file, a disgruntled former ghost, or even just an indiscreet comment could be catastrophic. It could lead to brutal controversies like the Matt Zoe episode.
Right. The potential fallout is huge. Huge. Living with that secret, maintaining the facade, can be incredibly stressful, and it might even lead to a profound sense of imposter syndrome for the DJ. That nagging feeling of, I don't deserve my success because I didn't fully earn it. DJs who genuinely care about their artistic credibility may feel immense guilt or shame.
Even someone like Martin Garrix, who started with Ghost Help, later felt the need to livestream his production to prove himself. That shows how the stigma can hang over an artist.
Exactly. It forces them to go to extreme lengths sometimes to validate their authenticity in the eyes of the public and maybe even themselves.
And for artistically minded DJs, those who genuinely love making music but are forced to outsource it due to those insane schedules we talked about, there must be a profound issue of creative fulfillment or lack thereof.
It can be a profoundly hollow feeling, you'd imagine, releasing tracks that bear their name, tracks that are celebrated globally, but which they didn't truly create or even significantly contribute to, that can lead to a fundamental loss of confidence in their own skills, a deep disconnection from the very music that defines their brand.
A DJ who doesn't produce at all might live a public life based entirely on something they know. Deep down, they couldn't create themselves. That could lead to chronic stress, an identity crisis, maybe even consciously avoiding studio-related interviews to prevent being exposed as lacking technical knowledge or creative input. It sounds like a lonely and often emotionally taxing charade to maintain.
This dynamic also impacts creativity in the music itself, doesn't it? Ghost production, by potentially prioritizing formulaic hits, could lead to a stagnant creative environment for the genre as a whole.
That's a critical point, yeah. When superstar DJs prioritize safe formulaic hits for maximum commercial success, The ghost producers they employ often stick to tried and true formulas, just replicating what's already worked.
Playing it safe.
Exactly. This can make the genre feel stale, as truly unique, experimental ideas might get suppressed in favor of a track that sounds like the last hit, or whatever is currently trending on Beatport. Colin McLaughlin argued that ghost producing ultimately hurts producers, writers, artists, and fans because it tricks listeners, keeps the spotlight unfairly on established acts, and stifles genuine innovation, potentially leading to a more homogeneous soundscape.
It sounds like both sides can get trapped in this system in different ways. The ghost producer is pigeonholed and invisible, and the DJ becomes reliant on maintaining the charade.
Exactly. And the power imbalances are significant and often fraught with tension. The famous artist has the money, the clout, the brand recognition, all the leverage. While the ghost producer often has very little, may be fearful of being blacklisted if they speak out or fail to deliver exactly what's wanted, this can lead to the ghost overworking themselves for insufficient pay or feeling entirely disposable. Meanwhile, the star might feel a seedy, uncomfortable connection to a source of their success they can't openly acknowledge. Though some pairs, like you mentioned, Tiesto and Dennis Wachop, seem to build genuine trust and a healthy working relationship over time.
For sure, that happens too. But many ghost arrangements are purely transactional, leaving the ghost feeling exploited and unvalued beyond the initial fee.
But despite all these negative aspects, there's that slowly emerging shift towards greater transparency you mentioned, isn't there? The conversation around ghost producing itself seems to be becoming less taboo, at least.
Yes, definitely. Ghost producing has become much less taboo over the last 10 years, according to some observers. It's almost seen as a natural, albeit often hidden, part of the mainstream EDM ecosystem now. This might relieve some of the secrecy and mental burden for ghosts if they eventually get acknowledged more openly.
But it also kind of normalizes a system that can keep creative labor perpetually in the shadows.
That's the risk. Ashley Walbridge's poignant analogy really sums up the ethical heart of the issue. Imagine if Michael Jackson had Quincy Jones sign an NDA. What would Quincy's reputation be today? Nothing.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. He calls the uncredited NDA culture bullshit and unauthentic, arguing that it fundamentally steals the legacy and dignity of creators and ultimately betrays the fans who believe they're connecting with a singular artistic genius. It's a powerful call for artistic integrity and fair play.
That's a really powerful point, and it leads us right into how ghost production intertwines with the larger culture of image and branding in EDM. It really highlights that tension between artistic creation and raw commerce.
Absolutely. EDM's explosive growth in the 2010s transformed DJs into those arena-filling rock stars, right? That created immense demands for constant social media platforms, elaborate personal branding, think Steve Aoki and his cake-throwing theatrics, or Marshmello with the helmet.
Exactly. Marshmallow's iconic helmet and continuous fan engagement across multiple platforms. This inevitably led to creative delegation becoming almost a necessity for some, with ghost production being one of the most significant forms. A ghost producer noted that in today's landscape, DJs are expected to be the label owner and marketing manager too, way beyond just creating music. It's a truly multifaceted role, far removed from just spinning records in a dark club. So, music creation becomes almost an accepted back end task for some, rather than the core artistic act itself. A necessary means to an end to fuel the brand machine. It's like that observation about Tiesto. Tiesto's brand is built on the musical works of someone behind the scenes. Even with the caveat, Tiesto fans look away. This might be tough to swallow.
And this directly raises that fundamental question. Ghost production forces us to confront. Is a top DJ primarily a musician, or are they an entertainer and a brand manager? Ghost production inherently frames the DJ as the face of a franchise, with hired composers and producers working behind them. Right.
This is why artists like deadmau5 have often criticized this trend so vocally, calling out button pushers who prioritize spectacle and showmanship over genuine musical substance or technical skill. And that cynical observation again, that 99% of famous musicians are also really good looking. suggests that image, charisma, and crowd control often outshine pure musical ability in achieving superstardom in this sphere.
If a DJ has the image and the ability to command a massive crowd, then their actual music making role can, for managers and labels looking at the bottom line, be seamlessly supplemented or even fully handled by ghost producers. It's often a calculated commercial trade off.
It also feeds into this powerful authenticity illusion, which is such a huge selling point for fans, isn't it? That's precisely why ghost production is often kept secret, because revealing it would fundamentally puncture the mythos of the singular artist genius that fans connect with.
Precisely. When ghost production is exposed, PR teams immediately go into damage control mode. They carefully spin it as co producing additional production, or maybe the DJ had the concept, we just engineered it, all to maintain the artist's carefully crafted, authentic image. The expectation of authenticity, however, really does vary by genre. Hardcore trance fans, as we noted, often revere technical skill and can be deeply upset by ghost production revelations, whereas big room or mainstream EDM fans might be more accepting of studio teams, perhaps because the spectacle and the party atmosphere are their primary draws. Makes sense. Still, public exposure can significantly damage a DJ's credibility, leading to widespread jokes and mockery online. Like DVBBS, faced after the tsunami revelations, eventually came out more widely.
But conversely, DJs who do demonstrably produce their own music can use that authenticity as a powerful marketing tool, right? A badge of honor in an era of skepticism.
Absolutely, it becomes a key differentiator, a way to stand out from the crowd. Ghost production also, ironically, enables brand consistency for the top tier artists. You can compare a DJ's brand consistency to a major fashion label,
Interesting analogy.
where a famous designer's team produces clothes under their artistic direction, maintaining the brand's look and feel. Similarly, a DJ can art direct their music with ghosts to maintain a signature sound, a recognizable brand identity. This creates a kind of Wizard of Oz effect.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly. The illusion is that DJX naturally comes up with that unique style track after track, when in reality it might be a successful recipe that multiple creators can follow to consistently reinforce the brand's sonic identity for the market.
And the backlash to this illusion can even become satirical commentary itself, highlighting the industry's own frustrations. Gareth Emery and Ashley Walbridge's duo CVNT5 is such a prime example again.
CDMP5 brilliantly lampooned those talentless rich kids hiring ghosts and even allegedly bribing DJ Mag for higher rankings. It hit remarkably close to real industry scandals and rumors, going viral for its biting satire.
Yeah, it stuck a nerve.
It really did. This insider satire shows that the industry itself recognizes its own absurdities and the frustrations with ghost-produced, image-driven acts. It also illustrates a shift in media portrayal, maybe from pure exposés to more nuanced discussions, sometimes even profiling these underdog heroes who actually create the music.
And as a direct response to all this ongoing scrutiny, DJs now often post studio content online to visibly prove their authenticity, don't they?
Yes, it's become a very common deliberate image strategy, a defensive maneuver almost. They'll post footage of themselves tweaking synths, demonstrating their software skills, or engage in technical discussions on forums to show they know their stuff, building credibility, and proactively trying to stave off those ghosting accusations. So in summary, ghost production isn't just a practice. It's really a symptom of EDM stardom evolving into this massive global spectacle, a powerful brand exercise, and a relentless machine demanding constant output. It highlights the profound tension between genuine art and commercial pressures, where songs are sometimes treated less like artistic expressions and more like products, with the DJ acting as the brand ambassador, the public face of an often hidden creative team.
So, after this deep dive into the hidden, and maybe not so hidden anymore, world of EDM ghost production, what does it all mean for the future of the genre and the evolution of this practice?
Well, we've certainly uncovered a world of striking contrasts, haven't we? Immense, often unacknowledged talent operating in anonymity, euphoric music born from secret collaborations, superstar careers built on silent partnerships. It's an intricate ecosystem driven by the relentless pressures and, let's face it, the staggering rewards of the modern music industry, We've looked at how major DJs navigate this, how some ghosts incredibly manage to step into the spotlight against the odds, and the profound emotional cost for both those who remain hidden and those who rely on them. It truly challenges our traditional notions of what an artist is in the 21st century, especially in electronic music.
And there's a growing, almost undeniable call for greater transparency and respect, isn't there? You mentioned that emerging middle ground where artists are maybe more openly acknowledging collaborators moving towards a model perhaps more similar to pop music's team-based approach, but with proper visible credit.
Exactly. If transparency continues to increase, maybe ghost producers could shed the ghost moniker entirely and simply be seen for what they truly are. Skilled collaborators, engineers, songwriters, co-producers, just producers, part of the team. This shift would do wonders, theoretically, for giving credit where it's due, alleviating the significant mental toll on hidden creators, and would fundamentally lessen Van's sense of betrayal because there would be no deceit involved. We're already seeing hints of this, with more DJs openly talking about their studio teams in interviews, or having co-producers visibly featured in credits, or even on stage sometimes. The taboo is slowly lifting, evolving into something potentially more honest. As Ashley Walbridge so powerfully articulated, the uncredited NDA bullshit should stop, so creators can finally build their reputation openly and authentically.
For you, the listener, understanding this phenomenon allows for a much more informed and nuanced appreciation of EDM, doesn't it? It doesn't mean you have to stop enjoying the music. In fact, it can actually enrich the experience, prompting a deeper dive into the creative process itself.
Yeah, it allows you to recognize the unseen hands behind the music you love. Next time a massive festival banger gives you goosebumps, you might pause and wonder about the unsung hero who crafted that unforgettable melody or that earth-shattering drop. And maybe it even prompts you to seek out their own independent music if you can find it.
It's like discovering a secret chef's gourmet menu after only tasting the fast food version of their cooking, released under a famous brand name, as you've sort of alluded to earlier. Exactly, it opens up a whole new world of discovery for dedicated fans who want to dig deeper.
And for the headline DJs themselves, the path to true, lasting authenticity seems to be honesty, doesn't it? Audiences are often remarkably forgiving when artists level with them. Look at Hardwell's and Armin van Buuren's upfront honesty that only seemed to make their fans more loyal and their careers more robust in the long run.
Sincerity and adaptability will always be winning strategies, you'd think, over attempting to maintain false fronts in an ever-evolving, increasingly scrutinized industry. Ultimately, the hidden world of ghost producers isn't quite so hidden anymore. It's a narrative rich with ambition, secrecy, disillusionment, and sometimes profound redemption, and it affects real lives. The young producer hearing their melody played to a crowd that will never know their name. The famous DJ may be struggling internally with the knowledge their biggest hit wasn't truly theirs, and the genuine bonds of creativity forged quietly away from the public eye.
As the EDM community matures, there's definitely a growing chorus calling for change. Not necessarily an end to collaboration, because music has always been collaborative, right?
Absolutely.
But for fairness, for mental well-being, for everyone involved, they're saying, give credit, give opportunity, and don't lock creative people behind NDAs that effectively erase their identity and legacy.
They're reminding everyone that beyond the flashy DJ booth hype and the spectacular laser shows, what truly matters is the music itself and all the people who contribute to making it, not just the ones with the famous faces. The ghost producers are, in a very real way, the unsung authors of the modern EDM story, the true architects of some of your favorite tracks.
So maybe it's time we collectively invite them to tick a bell.
Perhaps, after all, as fans chanting in unison to an anthemic drop, wouldn't we want to know and maybe applaud everyone who brought that euphoric musical moment to life? It's something to think about next time you're lost in the music.
This was Stage Vibes. Thanks for listening. And remember, sometimes the biggest names aren't the only ones making the noise.